It had been the first time I'd made it to a golf course in over 6 months. I was still trying to recover from the SU holiday camp the week before, and my mate was thoroughly kicking my butt at the 8th hole. The phone rings. It was now 8 o'clock. The pastor from a local church informs me that a father of 3 children from my school had been killed in a road accident. That was the end of my game for the day, so I drove to the family's house. There was nothing that could be said at that stage that would help, so instead I just hung out. Stayed with the kids, just sat there as they numbed themselves in front of the TV. The littlest one, aged 6, eventually came up to show me some plastic swords. So I took the challenge and we duelled for a while. I won. After a while, the older boys started moving about, and eventually the idea of playing Halo on the Xbox came up. So for the next hour, we hunted, shot, and drove all over each other. And this struck me as being a somewhat morbid and violent therapy. But the kids were okay with it, so I was okay with it. The funeral was held a few days later, actually the day before school started. And while there, the mum took my hand and she said, "Chappie, thanks for everything. Thanks for helping the kids. Please take care of them tomorrow at school. They'll have no one else." This family needed a chaplain. My name is John Brereton and I'm a primary school chaplain at the Willow State School in Townsville. I chose to be a primary school chaplain because I believe primary age kids need chaplains too. There are a lot of needy kids in primary school. After an earlier holiday break, one little girl came up to me and she said, "Chappie, my dad hates me. He wishes I went with Mum for the holidays. He says I'm a waste of his time and I'm a mistake." On other occasions, grief-stricken parents have shared with me their children's diaries, containing dark graphic drawings of knives and blood and hateful messages that the kids have written against themselves, against their parents, and against their friends. I now make it a habit to carry in my wallet cards with counselling phone numbers on them so that I can give them out to parents who themselves are falling apart with worry. One mum walked in on her little 9-year-old boy to find him experimenting at home with a rope around his neck. Another boy, last year in grade 1, was going bald. We initially thought the stress of being pulled through his parents' marriage breakup was causing his hair to fall out in large chunks. We've since come to realise that he's been pulling it out. This year, his mother's effort to deal with the issue was to shave his head. But he continues to self-harm by scraping skin off his scalp. Sometimes he has to come to school, or sometimes he comes to school and refuses to take his hat off so he doesn't have to uncover the festering sores on top. These people also need a chaplain. A lot of chappies have to support themselves and their families with part-time work, but this is hard because our heart's passion is to be in the school. This year was a turning point for me personally because there was a death in our school. A grade 7 student passed away. And about 2 p.m, the school called me up at my other workplace and asked if I could come straight in to help break the news to the other kids. My boss let me go reluctantly, but while there, the teachers asked if I would be able to get tomorrow off, the next day off, to offer emotional support. And due to a lack of staff at my workplace, this was not possible. That day, my wife, who sometimes visits the school to help run our popcorn stall, had kids asking her, "Where's Chappie? Why isn't he here? He should be here to help." They needed a chaplain. I'm very glad to be in my school now for 5 days a week, although technically I'm only a 2-day chaplain. With the extra time, I find that the opportunities to help are huge. I have a whole network of people who refer kids on to me. Admin staff make lists of kids for me to keep an eye on. The guidance officer and class teachers grab me and ask, "Chappie, have you got time to meet such and such at lunch? They're being bullied or teased, or they have no friends to play with." Or the Defence Force ladies ask, "Can you keep an eye on so-and-so? Mum has been deployed to Timor and they aren't able to focus on their work because they're so upset." You can see in all their faces that their hearts are just going out to these little ones who have to deal with so much. The encouragement I receive from the school community is awesome. This is my second year as chaplain and I continue to be welcomed with open arms. The school is doing everything it can to see this position extended. They initiated the funding for the chaplaincy and they've given me extra behavioural management hours to keep me on campus more. They print flyers, promote me in the school's newsletter. They have provided and helped run a popcorn machine to fundraise daily with. But the reality of the situation is it's not enough. Although I've conducted 2 memorial services, 2 Easter parades and booked up for my second Christmas, I've never been made to feel like I am the school's religious person. Rather, I feel as if I've been given an opportunity to live out my faith in a practical way by passing on the same unconditional love and acceptance to others that the Lord Jesus has shown me. I am certain that in the most difficult moments, it's actually God who gives me the comforting words to speak and the heart to go on and see things through. Perseverance. Perseverance for working in situations like with young Bobby, who has experienced more traumas in his 11 years than any other person I know. Physical, emotional, and sexual abuse scars run so deep that, in his words, he says, "Counsellors and therapists can't help me." Today he lives in constant fear of being abducted by an abusive stepfather whose whereabouts the police have no idea. There is no solid or safe ground for Bobby. And really, I don't know what else to do to help. But he needs someone to be consistent. He needs someone he can rely on. Maybe he needs a chaplain. And it's not just the children. Parents are beginning to stop and chat, and teachers are starting to open up to some of their feelings and life questions. It seems they also need chaplains. Last term, I spent an hour and a half consoling a grandmother who felt unloved, used and disrespected by her children and grandchildren. On another occasion, I listened as a dad spoke of the frustration of not being able to help build his son's self-esteem. And still another mum cried as she shared of the violent home situation that her young family experiences. I don't want you to be misled. Chaplaincy has its fun and happy side as well. For me, there is no comparison to the reward that comes from turning tears into a smile and then developing a friendship with them afterwards. I receive invitations to special classroom events, birthday celebrations, and when you walk into the special ed unit, the little faces just light up and it makes you feel like you're pure gold. For the most part, my days are filled with smiles, waves, high fives, thumbs ups, peace signs, and offers to share half-sucked ice blocks. During the lunch breaks, I get to mix it up playing handball and throwing hoops. I get to run lunchtime programs and do RE classes. And we're looking at other ways of getting out there with the kids and teachers through sporting programs. I get invited onto school camps. I get to help with special projects for developing better social skills and work ethics. So, why am I a primary school chaplain? Well, for all the above reasons and one more. You see, domestic violence, substance abuse, depression and suicide and all those other nasty social things, they aren't limited to high schools. By the time kids reach secondary learning, they've already formulated much of their self-image and have set in place many of their life coping strategies. I'm a primary school chaplain because I believe that primary age kids need chaplains too. And I'm hoping tonight that you'll get the message that we chaplains need you. Thank you very much.